Bryce Harper is a year from free agency. So what's he really worth? Every baseball season brings new data, and revisions to reputations. But this year has been especially revealing about Stephen Strasburg and Bryce Harper, two of the game's most scrutinized players. Strasburg is rocketing up the game's respectrum, while Harper, 1 year from free agency, now shows a few cracks. Just 17 months ago, when Strasburg signed a 7-year, $175 million contract extension, many Nationals fans were pleased. But they also wondered, why Strasburg? Why not save all that money to keep Bryce? The day the Strasburg deal was announced, Harper was not only the reigning NL MVP but was on a pace for 51 homers and 134 RBI with an OPS of 1.095 and 16. At that moment, Strasburg was the pitcher famous for his injuries and a need for gentle handling. Harper seemed on the verge of finishing high in MVP voting for years to come in the NL, just as Mike Trout had done in the AL. How times change. Now, Strasburg seems relatively durable, and Harper might not be. Over the past 5 years, Strasburg ranks 30th in MLB in most games started with 139. That's 2 fewer than Clayton Kershaw, the same as David Price and more than Felix Hernandez. In those same 5 years, Harper ranks 90th in games played, just 126 a season, and now says he should have skipped quite a few more games in 2016 when he had a bulky shoulder. That's almost 6 weeks out per season. Strasburg showed he can be dominant in the postseason, although in a losing cause last week. He rose to the occasion to start Game 1, when Max Scherzer couldn't, then pitched sick to save the season in Game 4. His ERA, 0.00, bringing his 3-start postseason career ERA to 0.49. Meantime, Harper, for the 4th time, failed to lead his team out of the first round and has career playoff batting average and OPS marks of .215 and .801. By the high standards of right fielders, he's Mr. Average in October. The Nats look smart for signing Strasburg long-term at roughly the time when he reached maturity on the mound. Since June 2015, the Nats have gone 53-14 in Strasburg's 67 starts, an almost ridiculous percentage. But Strasburg looks sharp for including opt-out clauses after 2019 and 20. A man of habit who prefers familiar surroundings, he probably will stay in DC, but either way, both sides look wise. The Nats also look judicious for ignoring the advice of those, such as me, who said that offering Harper a $400 million, 10-year extension to sign through age 35 was a reasonable notion. He might decline. But at least you offered. Now I wonder, as I do every off-season, who is Bryce Harper really? In the past 5 years, in those 126 games, Harper averaged 26 homers, 72 RBI and a .288 average. Over the last 9 years, Adam Lind averaged 128 games, 20 homers, 70 RBI and hit .273. That's selective stat mining. Harper is much better, in part because he walks so much. But Harper and Lind in the same sentence. Ryan Zimmerman and Harper have both averaged 128 games over their 12 and 6 full years respectively. Harper averages 84 runs, 25 homers, 70 RBI, a .285 batting average and an annual WAR of 4.35. Zimmerman averages 73 runs, 21 homers, 78 RBI, a .279 average and an average annual WAR of 3.0. Once again, Harper is better. But by how much? The past 4 years, Anthony Rendon has an average WAR of 4.28, just a hair lower than Harper over almost any time frame you pick. Again, Harper is extremely good. But $400 million fabulous? Analyzing Strasburg and Harper, and their futures, impacts what the Nats should do this offseason. With Strasburg's stellar work, the Nats now seem to have the best 2 aces on any staff in MLB, Their winter priority should be adding a third starter to join them from 18 through 21, because all could still be Nats then. The Nats need someone more pressure-proof than Gio Gonzalez and more gifted than Torsteiner Roark, who's a fourth starter on the champion. In a 7-game NLCS or World Series, your ideal fully rested rotation is 1-2 off day 3-4 1 off day 2-3. See how important Mr. Number 3 is. That can't be Gio. Perhaps the Nats shouldn't worry about Harper. Let the phone ring. His agent Scott Boras is creative and listens to his clients. If Harper wants to make DC his long-term home, a deal probably could be worked out, akin to Strasburg's in structure, with opt-outs, but at or above Scherzer's $30 million annual level. But that's a sub-$300 million deal, not the gossip number of $400 million. One thing is sure, someday, with hindsight, the Nats will be very glad, or very sad about their decision on whether to be aggressive bidders for Harper. In optimistic moods, my best guesstimates of players who approximate Harper's future are Rodden Yount, Ken Griffey Jr., Paul Molitor, Reggie Jackson, Frank Thomas, Jim Thome, Jeff Bagwell and maybe Derek Jeter. From ages 26-35 their average WAR was about 46. What's that worth? Yes, about $400 million, according to Fangraphs. No one said this was going to be easy. In those 10-year periods, Griffey played just 121 games a year and Molitor 126. But when they played, watch out. So, Harper's injury pattern, even if it persists, doesn't have to keep him out of Cooperstown. But this analysis misses the many players who were deluxe at 26 but tapered off over their next decade. Such as whom? Such as Zimmerman. At 26, the age when Harper will be a free agent, Zim had averaged a WAR of 4.8 in his previous 5 years, even better than Harper's past 5 years. But injuries, including a right shoulder so bad that he had to switch positions, has held Zimmerman to an average WAR of 1.7 for the past 7 years. Do the Nationals need to add starting pitching? A new factor also has entered the Harper equation this season. The outfield is now the Nats' most overloaded area of talent. An injury to Adam Eaton, who'll be back in 18, allowed Michael A. Taylor to become the proud new owner of center field. Counting the playoffs, Taylor had 21 homers, 61 RBI, 17 steals and a .819 OPS in 3/4 of a season. Also, Victor Robles developed so fast that he became the youngest player in the majors and then made the playoff roster. At a time when the Nats need the new starting pitcher, plus a much better catcher than Matt Whiters, minus 0.7 WAR, the team will need to weigh how much they can offer Harper, the 126-game outfielder, versus how well they might be able to spend those hundreds of millions on Anthony Rendon or free agents. Every time the thought of Harper being a Nat through 2028 crosses my mind, I think of the Caps' 13-year deal with Alex Ovechkin that bound him to the team, and, in turn, bound the team to his playing style, through 2021. Since then, the Caps have flopped or fizzled in the playoffs 10 times. Ovechkin isn't a primary cause of the problem, but he's at the center of a failing ecosystem. The Nats have had 4 shots at October with Harper. At least, Ova has duplicated his regular season numbers in postseason. Harper has